This is Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.
Today's dealership leaders are tasked with an extraordinary number of responsibilities, from managing the online to in-store sales process, navigating tightening margins, and reducing strains on the service department. But how can leaders and managers best connect and integrate all departments for better results? On today's edition of Driving Solutions, we're pleased to welcome back Greg Uland, who is the Vice President of Marketing with Reynolds and Reynolds, to discuss how dealers can overcome current challenges by rethinking traditional processes. Greg, thank you so much for taking the time in your schedule to join us on the show.
No, happy to be here. Thanks so much, Jim. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure. I feel like we don't get to talk often enough, but at least once or twice a year we get the chance. So
that's right. Well, and now congratulations on the success of your podcast. It's doing phenomenal. I tune in every now and then. For those of you out there, it's called Connected. Check it out. I think you're going to like what you see. It really is where the rubber meets the road in this industry, and these guys at Reynolds and Reynolds, and Greg knows the industry. So talk to us. You talk to many dealers through Connected, your podcast, and dealing, with dealers all over the country. What are you hearing and seeing? What's the big focus areas for dealers right now?
Well, I think the big overarching thing that I hear that's kind of the common theme is the complexity of the business just continues to get more, it just continues to grow.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's never been a simple business, but at this point, selling a car is arguably, maybe inarguably, but certainly one of the most complex retail transactions out there. There's so much that goes into it. And, when I was actually with a dealer this morning, and the conversation kind of bounced all over the place because the sense is there's limitations in pretty much every corner of the dealership, right? In every department. You mentioned online to in-store and trying to manage that. Margins, especially used vehicles, are becoming a big focus because dealers are having to execute at a higher level there. Service just out of space or out of techs or both. They just don't have capacity. And another big focus that always seems to get into this passionate conversation is just cash, right? And speed of cash flow. There's more cash than ever just sitting out there waiting, whether that's contracts in transit or receivables, right? Waiting 45 days for customers to pay you on a statement. There's all these pieces to the puzzle.
That's right.
And, it seems like what everybody's, the conclusion that a lot of dealers are coming to is trying to solve all these hurdles independently and in silos just isn't working, and they're finding a lot of limitations there.
Sure. So what's the solution to that? What with all of that in mind, how do you fix the problems?
Yeah, well, when you dig into it and you think about what really happens in all these different tools, I guess just a simple example, right? Think about a car deal. Might start in the CRM. Where you identify a customer with a high propensity to buy and you start communicating with them. Maybe it's email or however you communicate. Or maybe it starts on the website. And if you're there, you got to be able to communicate instantly. You got to be able to really structure a deal, manipulate payments and work through a deal with a customer. Eventually, you're probably going to set an appointment for them to come in and do a test drive, right? The customer's going to want to see the car, touch the car. It's funny, Jim, you've been doing this for a while. And, if we go back to 2020, right, and we say, I think if we asked ourselves back then, what's a car deal going to look like? So many people would have said, well, it's going to be all online, right?
That's right.
But obviously that hasn't proven to be the case.
No.
There's so much value in the dealership and for the consumer coming to the dealership. We've just really gotten a sense that that's not the case. So we're going to have the customer come into the store, but then they get there and the salesperson ends up reworking the deal. They're trying to match payments. That's a real pain. They do a quick appraisal, but they don't have visibility into really all the work that needs done. Or let's say the customer stopped at Pep Boys on the way in and cleared all their trouble codes so you don't see a check engine light. Serious. I mean, that happens.
I know,
right?
It's a reality.
And so this deal process is just so disconnected. It goes on and on and on, right? They go into finance to rekey the deal, and then the back half when that car is owned, it goes to recon, but they're not sure what went into the appraisal. The whole thing is so disconnected, and it's causing these slowdowns and this feeling of there's just almost a limit on what we can do. It's this feeling of, well, I mean, don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for a lot of dealers.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to your comments about the different departments, how do you see these issues trying in with fixed ops? I mean, there's so much, or tying in with fixed ops, I should say. You mentioned solving problems independently. Isn't the answer? Is that the answer anymore? I mean, but service is really still kind of its own business, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can make that case certainly, but with fixed ops with service, there's so many tie-ins with the rest of the dealership too. So even there, trying to have this single view of a customer, single view of a transaction, single view of a vehicle can be really important. So you think about recon, you think about historical service work that's been done, even on a trade-in, right? Having that information as part of the sales process. Lifetime customer value, that matters, right? If a customer has bought 3 cars from you and they've serviced with you loyally for 20 years, that there's a different customer value there than somebody who's gotten an oil change from you once.
Yeah.
You think about data mining, right? And trying to mine the service drive for trade-ins or sales opportunities. All that information ties together. They connect the entire store really. And I think what's so frustrating, or the sense that I get when I talk with dealers, is, they have folks in the store who work really, really hard to make all this happen. Mm-hmm. But they're working in different systems, and it requires a lot of manual processes to pull it all together. And then you start thinking about, this is a whole different rabbit hole we could go down if you want to, but then you start thinking about reporting, right? And you're trying to manage your business, and it's just, you have 8 different tools that are all telling you different things happened, or at least, somewhat. So yeah, I mean, the service drive certainly can be often a different business, but at the end of the day, it really is connected, and it's this infinity loop of a customer relationship that you can continue to work through.
So how can dealers solve this problem?
Well, I mean, the easy answer, I think, is you have a single system for all of it, right? A single system with a single unique identifier for every customer, every vehicle, every transaction. But short of that, you really have to identify all the variables that cause issues, and then either connect them or update them simultaneously. So going back to that sales example, right? Online to in-store, you think about that. If you think about payments not matching, right? And maybe they're off by a couple bucks, maybe they're off by 40. But why is that? Why do they do that? Why does the salesperson think about how frustrating it is when a customer comes in, right? They're expecting a payment of $574.72, and you look at it in the DMS and put the deal together, and it's actually $602.34.
Right.
So you got a choice to make. Either you sit there with that customer for the next hour trying to explain to them why the payment's different than what they saw, and there are valid reasons, there really are, but you risk that relationship, and
for sure.
Spend a lot of time.
You start to live up to the stereotypes that the consumer have of salespeople and such, and which isn't good.
Yeah. So you have that option, or the other option is you get out your trusty calculator, right, and try to back yourself into that deal to match the payment.
That's right.
Taking discounts and everything else.
That's right. Which costs you gross profit.
Yeah, it does. Well, and if you're the salesperson, you don't want to do that, right? Because it's going to cost you commission. It just so anyhow, getting back to it. You think about that process and how disconnected it is. There's just a lot of variables, and the big variables come into play with percentages, right? At the end of the day, taxes and fees, and it gets really complicated if you're selling across counties or states. Yeah. And not that any of them. The gist of it is there's these variables in these different places. So in your VR tool and in your DMS, as a simple example, they need to match. And you have different tax tables that need to be updated. You have different calculation engines that factor things a little bit differently. So making sure that those are updated and accurate, and they're updated at the same time. So you can, ideally you end up with a single system that's using the same calc engine. But short of that, it is really important to make sure that you're monitoring both tools or all 3 tools, depending on your setup, to make sure that everything's accurate.
Yeah, for sure. So switching gears a little bit, NADA is right around the corner. Anything new from Reynolds and Reynolds for the show?
There's always something new. I mean, Jim, if you weren't so busy doing interviews, I think Last year you did what, 40, 50, something like that.
That's right. It's a crazy time for us, but we love it. It's great.
Yeah. So will you have? I'll get to it in a second here, but will you have a booth like you did last year as well? So in
We
years past,
will.
you've been.
Yeah, we
Oh,
will have
good.
the full CBT stage set up. So,
Love it. I love
yep.
it. Okay, good deal. But yeah, for us, we're definitely excited. If you have 2 minutes between your 50 interviews that you got to do, stop by and we'll walk through everything. But
Yeah, that'd be great.
uh, yeah, for sure. But we're definitely excited. We have so much positive momentum right now.
Hmm.
We're growing faster than we have in at least 15 years. We're winning more
Wow.
new customers than ever. We're retaining customers at a higher rate than ever before. And as a company, we're really laser focused on our customer success. And as part of that, we're releasing a lot of new products. Actually, more new products. So I've been with Reynolds for it'll be 16 years here.
Wow.
More new products this year than I've ever seen,
No kidding.
which is exciting. Really hitting our stride.
Yeah.
So like some of the things that I'm excited about that I can't wait to kind of reveal and show and just get interactions on. Our first off, AutoVision.
Hmm.
This is a company that we acquired not too long ago, but we've spent the last handful of months really building it into our retail management system, and it's a product now that will help dealers through their used vehicle management process,
Hmm.
and do it in a way that we think, and certainly our dealers who have used the tool think, uh, revolutionizes, maybe a strong word or an overused word, but it's definitely a different way to approach used vehicles, and they're loving it. So we're excited about that one. Menu Touch is another one in F&I, new way to present F&I menus essentially.
Okay.
Very excited about that. We have new video approval software for service. It's just some really exciting products that help take things to the next level.
That's fantastic, and it should be a great show. I've spoken to a number of dealers all over the country they're all headed out there. The ones that I've spoken to, they're excited about it. This is a time, I think, in the industry that dealers need to come together, also find the right technologies and the right programs and products out there because 2024 is not going to be like 2022 or 2023. We know that the cars are starting to come back on the lots. Gross profits are being negatively impacted. So dealers are now paying attention a lot more, right? Saying we got to make sure that we're partnering with the right people.
Yeah, 100% agree. And obviously, we love talking about, or I at least love talking about technology and everything, but it's also about the partnership and making sure that everybody's working together to push this industry forward.
Yep.
And doing everything that we can together to continue to have this be one of, if not the strongest industries in, I think in the country.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, before I let you get out of here, talk to us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, so Connected, we've been running that for almost 4 years now. It's every other week.
That's great.
We release an episode, have great guests on. We got to get you on. I don't think you've had the opportunity to come. Well, you're so busy, but I'll tell you what, we got to carve out a little time.
No.
You
Give
can come
me a
on.
call. Love to be on it.
Yeah, we can flip the script.
That's right.
You could be the interviewee. But no, we'll be doing interviews at the show too, which will be a lot of fun. We did that last year and had some great conversations on the floor. So we'll release those pretty much right after the show. We're excited about that. Similarly, we do have really great representation. I was talking just a second ago about partnerships and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be as present as possible everywhere we can. And
Yeah.
We'll have our president, Chris Walsh, will be on stage at the Automotive News Retail Forum on Thursday on February 1st.
That's great. That's a great event.
Yeah, so he'll be on a panel right before lunchtime. That'll be great. And then we have actually 3 workshops this year at the show, one Thursday, one Friday, one Saturday.
Wow.
Different topics. One kind of about just shifting mindset in retail automotive, and another about credit compliance, and then finally one that will undoubtedly be very popular is really about cyber insurance and how to keep prices at bay and also certainly protect your dealership. So
Yeah.
we're very excited about NADA on all the fronts for sure.
That's fantastic. Well, Greg Uland, Vice President of Marketing with Reynolds and Reynolds, thank you very much for your insights today. It was a pleasure having you on. Stop by the Reynolds and Reynolds booth at the upcoming NADA 2024 show in in Vegas, which is going to be an incredible show, as I said earlier. But these are the kind of things, these are the kind of solutions that we want to be bringing you here at CBT News. Dealers need the best technologies they can get their hands on, and you can start right there at Reynolds and Reynolds. So Greg, thank you so much. Love to have you back and do some more of this in 2024. And I think we're also going to have you on the CBT stage. So stop by and see Greg there as well.
Yep, can't wait to see you, Jim. Always a pleasure.
Likewise. Take care.
Thanks for watching Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.